If you've been reading online lately, you might have developed a new reflex, AI blindness. Just like our brains learn to unconsciously skip over banner ads, we now automatically tune out the polished, machine-generated filler flooding the web. The internet is rapidly becoming a toxic data source, overflowing with text written by algorithms for algorithms. To bypass this digital pollution, the world's most advanced technology companies are digging through the past. They are quietly buying up millions of second-hand physical books. The prize is text written before 2022, data entirely untouched by machines. But they aren't carefully turning pages. To feed the models fast enough, they use a bulk scanning method that slices the spine right off the book, running the loose pages through high-speed scanners. Once a rare book is digitized this way, the physical copy is thrown in the trash. Preservation groups like Anna's Archive are racing against this destruction. They're putting out a global call, asking 10 million volunteers to scan one book each, trying to save these original copies before they disappear entirely. The illusion of infinite digital data has finally hit the hard limits of physical reality. Finding clean human text is only the first bottleneck. Training these frontier models requires massive amounts of hardware. Recently, a software startup called Poolside missed a funding window and lost out on a cluster of 40,000 computer chips. Without that raw scale, they simply couldn't compete. So chip giant NVIDIA stepped in with a strange new deal, a reverse execuhire. Instead of buying the startup outright, NVIDIA paid $6 billion to license Poolside's technology and offered jobs to 109 of its employees. The founders stayed independent, and NVIDIA secured the assets without a traditional acquisition. But the real story is what happens to the infrastructure left behind. A spin-off company emerged from this deal with a single objective: to build a new data center, a neocloud, with a target power draw of 7 gigawatts. To put that in perspective, 7 gigawatts is roughly the electricity consumption of an entire mid-sized city running day and night just to support artificial intelligence. This corporate race has expanded beyond software development into a direct takeover of physical planetary resources, metal, land, and electricity. Because processing power is so expensive, AI companies are tightly controlling how their models operate. Analytics firms recently noticed that ChatGPT quietly altered how it searches the web. Almost overnight, the model's use of targeted site searches jumped from under 0.5% of queries to 16%. This creates a new game, Generative Engine Optimization, or GEO. Instead of Google's algorithms, your business's visibility now depends on invisible, internal rules dictating which specific sources an AI prefers to cite, and those rules can change without warning. This chart shows how that scarcity hits the user. You might pick a cheap AI coding model based on a low price per word, shown here on the flat line, but cheaper models require constant retries, debugging, and cleanup. The metric that actually matters, the total cost to a working result, can quickly escalate into hundreds of dollars. Relying on massive brute force cloud models is becoming financially unsustainable for both developers and users. To make these tools worth the cost, developers realize they need agents that don't just generate quick text, but can execute complex plans over weeks and months. Google DeepMind is testing this capability by putting its AI inside EVE Online, a sprawling multiplayer space game. EVE is brutal because it demands continuous memory and strategic planning across long time horizons, simulating the exact endurance needed for real-world projects. But to run a multi-day task for you in the real world, a model doesn't need to be a supercomputer. It needs to know your specific projects, your preferences, and your open tasks. It needs highly organized, deeply personal context. While public knowledge is now a commodity, your specific private workflow has become the industry's most valuable fuel. This demand for deep personal context is pushing the technology entirely off the cloud. A new wave of assistants like Shogun AI and Project Sky are designed to operate exclusively on your personal hardware. They stay on your machine, constantly reading your screen, scanning your files, and analyzing your emails natively. The promise is total context, kept entirely private. Because these agents have access to everything, developers are adopting extreme defensive postures. Some are building completely self-hosted agentic factories on spare PCs with zero inbound network access, physically quarantining the AI to ensure private information never leaks out. It brings the entire technology full circle. Having exhausted the open web, the world's libraries, and the electrical grid, the supposedly infinite cloud must now live inside a physical box on your desk, feeding off your private life.